Hey guys, it's Brandon from Premier Fitness Systems, and I'm here today for our Move to Better Golf Performance with Cool Clubs to give you guys 5 exercises that every golfer needs from a foundational, fundamental standpoint to play better golf. Okay, so the purpose of today's video series is to give you guys a foundational viewpoint of what you need to be doing in the gym or at home in order to prepare your body to play better golf. What we believe here at Premier Fitness Systems is that movement efficiency trumps everything else, and that you need efficiency of movement first before you can train for performance or even go out on the course and play better golf. What that means to us is we need you moving efficiently. We need you to be able to get into positions. We need you to be able to feel your glutes in a squat exercise. We need you to be able to create rotation and separation. And a lot of times it's not just the exercise, but it's understanding what you should be feeling and what you should be accessing in a particular movement. Does that make sense? Rambling. Okay, first exercise in this series is we're gonna work on just fundamental breathing. So when we think of a good breathing pattern, really what we're doing is we're using the diaphragm correctly. Well, why does that matter for a golfer? Well, if your diaphragm isn't being used correctly, then it's really hard to get in the right positions, to get access to your glutes, to get access to your lower half, to establish a good connection into the ground. So breathing from a fundamental standpoint is number one, okay? When you think of breathing, think of rib and pelvis integrity. So really that becomes your core. Your rib cage and your pelvis need to be over the top of each other so that you have access to your lower half muscles, to your glutes, to your quads, to your hamstrings, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna go at is we're gonna go at this fundamental breathing from a 90-90 hip position. So here in the studio we have access to these boxes, which come in really handy. We typically put a pad on the top. If you're doing this at home, an ottoman, a chair will work. And if you don't have yoga blocks, you could take an article of clothing. You could take really anything that we can establish some pressure between your knees and then also between your feet. So I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna take one yoga block and I'm gonna place it between my feet. And I want to make sure that I have connection at the top of the block and the bottom of the block. My hips are going to be underneath my knees, so I'm stacked from my knees down. The second yoga block is going to go between my knees. In this position, first, what we want to do is we want to get a sense for where the ribs are. So if my ribs are up, I'm in extension. If I'm in extension, I'm gonna lose rotation, okay? That's extremely important. If you are in extension, you will lose rotation. And for a golfer, rotation is extremely important, okay? So I want to take an inhale in, I'm gonna exhale, and I'm gonna get my rib cage coming down, okay? As my ribs go down on the exhale, I should feel some core. So now what happens is that space between my back and the ground goes away, okay? Rib cage down on your exhale. Now you're gonna sense your hamstrings and your glutes. So if I was pulling down into the box, into the pad, I start to turn on my hamstrings. Then I'm gonna squeeze the block and I start to feel my glutes. So notice how my pelvis starts to come off the ground and I feel my hamstrings working, okay? Now from that position, I'm just gonna start to cycle breaths. You wanna inhale deep. You wanna think about driving air into your waistline in a 3-dimensional fashion, and on your exhale, you wanna drive your rib cage down more while maintaining your hamstrings and your glutes. So it's an inhale, exhale, and we're gonna do that for a series of about 5 to 10 breaths. Okay, exercise number 2 in this series. In this particular exercise, we're going to be working on spinal mobility or spinal segmentation. We're going to work a cat-cow, which probably a lot of you guys have tried. You've done yoga in the past. We work a flexed position into an extended position, but we're going to attack it a little bit different. And the intention here is going to be controlling it one vertebra at a time. So we need all segments of the spine to have a certain degree of freedom, a certain degree of range of motion, so that we don't overuse one segment, and particularly the lumbar spine. So if you lack thoracic extension or flexion, then a lot of the load in a rotational swing is going to end up being pushed to the lumbar spine. This is also really good for awareness of pelvis position. Okay, so we're going to use a wall for this. The reason I'm going to use a wall is I can get good feedback for my glutes and my hamstrings. When your hamstrings fire, they're actually going to pull your pelvis. They're going to orient your pelvis into a posterior orientation. So that is taking your butt from this arched position into a tucked under position, which is a little bit more favorable position to rotate from, okay? So I'm gonna put my feet into the wall. I'm trying to get my whole foot into the wall, but that's gonna be hard. I want my hip to be over top of my knee, and I'm gonna stack my shoulders. So my shoulders stacked over my elbow, over my wrist. I'll start in a flexed position. So here is good flex position. And in this position, I want to find my hamstrings and my glutes so I can feel those muscles going. So I'm pulling my foot, excuse me, up into the wall. And then I'm going to start at my butt, start at my pelvis, and I'm going to start to untuck. And I'm going to come all the way up my spine into extension. Now, I don't typically have people look up because then I feel like we get kind of stuck at our neck. So I'll stop people here. Now I'm gonna go back to my pelvis, and I'm gonna start to bring my pelvis back into a posterior orientation and then flex all the way up this spine. So there's a nice flex spine. My pelvis is starting to go the opposite direction, all the way into extension, and then again from the bottom up. Nice and controlled and fluid. What we tend to see in this drill is the thoracic spine is very blocky, so it doesn't want to move. The lumbar spine will move easier, the thoracic spine will be stuck. So this is a good awareness drill to start to be able to feel that part of your spine move more. And again, the intent here is to try to control one vertebra at a time. I always think of it as like a wave. I'm waving up the spine into full flexion. I'm waving from the bottom of the spine back up into extension, nice and fluid and strong. You'll feel your core firing, and you'll feel your hamstrings and your glutes in that posterior position or flex position. In this particular drill, we'll go through 10 full ranges with as much control as you can, and just continuing to cycle good breaths. Good?
Yep.
Working forward, moving forward into exercise 3 of this series. And again, we're setting this up really to give you guys a good 5 series of exercises that will help you establish better fundamentals and better really control and awareness that will lead into playing better golf. That's the intent of this whole series. Okay, so we worked on establishing better breathing, we worked on controlling segmentation of the spine. Now we'll work on orienting the pelvis into a good optimal position, and then learning how to create power from that position. So we're gonna go into a half kneel. So I'm gonna have my right leg up, my left leg down on the ground. And I want to, again, orient my pelvis underneath me into a slight posterior tilt. So most people will be dumped forward. okay? They're in this extended posture. We want to get the butt underneath, and when you do that correctly, you should feel a really good stretch in the front of your hips. Your psoas will start to release, and that will also relieve some tension in your low back. So this is a really, really powerful stretch. Okay, so again, I'm really heavy right now over my left leg. My butt is now behind me, the opposite, in a bad position. I'm gonna tuck my pelvis underneath me. I start to feel my left glute and my left hamstring, and I just want to start to breathe in that position. I'm then gonna drive forward into the stretch without extending through my lumbar spine. So as you drive forward, we want to make sure that we don't just lose the position and end up being extended. Okay, so from the side, you see people do this stretch all the time and they're just doing this, right? They're getting a stretch, so I feel the stretch, but I'm driving into extension. My lumbar vertebra, my lumbar spine is just getting jammed up. Okay, so we don't want that, because if your lumbar spine is jammed up, the second you go to rotate, you're just jamming onto a joint. Okay, we don't want that. So again, here's my butt in an anterior tilt. My butt's out, my back is extended. I'm gonna bring my butt underneath me. I feel my glute fire, I feel my hamstrings. I'll make sure my back isn't extended. I feel good there, and then I'm gonna drive forward into that stretch without losing it. Okay, one more time. Butt underneath. Cinch your butt, cinch your glute, cinch your hamstrings, drive forward into the stretch. Don't lose the position. Once you feel that really good stretch, we're gonna stay there. We're gonna breathe for 10 seconds. Nice, big, deep diaphragmatic breaths. And then we're gonna relax. And we're gonna do that 3 times on the left and then 3 times on the right. So this exercise is beneficial from two views. Okay, we have awareness of pelvis orientation, so we're starting to be able to get the butt underneath you, and we're also starting to attack or open the psoas, which frees up your glute. So we get a lot of benefits from being in a really good position here. Okay, moving forward, exercise number 4. We got ourselves into a really good position with our hips, with our lumbar spine. Now we're going to start to load that position, and then eventually we'll start to create power. We'll try to move dynamically. So just like we were before, I'm going to be in a half kneel. Okay. Now what I'm going to start to do is I want to start to load my up leg. So my pelvis comes underneath me just like we did. I'm going to bring in a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to rotate over my high leg, and then I'm going to start to ramp tension down into the ground with my right, with a goal of actually getting my back knee off the ground. Now, when you're doing this, some of you guys might not actually get the knee off the ground. That's okay. If you get the knee off the ground, but you lose the position or you feel stress, that's no bueno, right? So it's just like anything else. We've got to build. So you're starting to create good strength here on the up leg, the up glute, the up quad. We shouldn't feel stress. We should feel a lot of glute. So pelvis is underneath you. I'm going to add rotation without extending. Okay, add rotation. I'm starting to ramp tension down into the ground with my right leg. I have to lean forward a little bit, and then I'm gonna pick myself off the ground. I'm imagining that I'm putting a hole through the ground with my right leg, then I'm gonna set it down. So for this one, we'll start out with 5-second isometrics, and let's do 5 reps on the right, 5 reps on the left, okay? You should feel butt, okay? If you're getting butt, that's really good. From the side, right leg comes forward, pelvis comes underneath you, okay? I'm not extended, looks like this. Butt underneath, nice and strong. I'm gonna rotate. I'm gonna start to ramp tension down into the ground with my right leg. Notice how I have to lean, okay? I feel my right leg, my right glute, and then I'm gonna lift, and I'm holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. It's pretty normal that you will get some activation of the trail hip. That's okay as long as there's not stress. But ideally, we're getting that lead leg, that front leg, that glute to fire. And we're building some really good strength, some really good stability, so that when we go to be dynamic, we go to swing, you're more solid in that dynamic range of motion. Okay, last exercise in this series, we're going to start to get dynamic. So this series does build. We work on breathing, we establish really good positions, we get better control over our spine, we gain awareness of our spine, we orient our pelvis, we gain awareness of our pelvis, and then we need to load those positions. So we're all about getting stronger, we're all about building power. We just don't want to do that with sacrificing position. That's how people get hurt. So we need that good efficiency first, and then we can get stronger and more powerful. So in this series, we're gonna work on creating some power, some speed. So in that same half kneel that we just went through, okay, butt underneath me, I find that position, I get nice and strong. With a medicine ball, I'm gonna create some counter motion, and I'm going to medicine ball chop. So when you think of this drill, it's more about not rotating than it is about rotating. So we're becoming stronger at resisting rotation. And because in order to create power, you have to be able to create acceleration and then deceleration. So this drill is really about having a good strong base and then being able to produce power. So imagine I had this medicine ball, okay? I've got it here, I start it, I bring it up as fast as I can, and I chop it back down. I'm gonna stay really grounded, and I'm gonna maintain my hip. What you don't want it to look like is this, right? That's like you extending in your golf swing, whether it's on your backswing or your follow through, you're losing position, you're swaying, you're all over the place. So this is a really good drill to start to work on creating a good solid base, okay? So again, I find that good hip position, I take the ball, I bring it up, I think about keeping my rib cage down, I chop it down hard. Now we can do this into a wall, you can do this with a partner. It's not something you're gonna just do out in the open in the gym, but with a wall we can do that. So if I was to do this at full speed, I'm gonna take the medicine ball. This is a 8-pounder, which works, okay? I'm grounded in my right leg, my hip is underneath me, I take the ball out front, I'm gonna brace my core, inhale, exhale, let it go. I didn't extend, or at least I think I didn't, right? So there probably looks like not a lot of range of motion, but that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to create a really good, strong, almost like a rubber band effect without extending. If you extend, you'll lose a lot of your power. So again, the reference point of this exercise is less rotation, more about creating a good, stable base. When we do this, we'll go 10 repetitions both sides. So again, you have a wall, you're against that wall, you're a little bit off the wall, take it, slam it, it's gonna come back to you. You do that 10 on the right, 10 on the left. In this series, you could go through this 2 to 3 times. So you could go through each drill, work through it, and then go back through it. That would actually be a really, really good warm-up prior to training. So prior to lifting, or on a day where you're just trying to prep and prime your body to play golf, this could be a good circuit as well. All right, guys, again, Brandon from Premier Fitness Systems with cool clubs for our Move to Better Golf Performance series. We appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to their channel, subscribe to our channel. We're gonna be doing this more. We'd love to hear your feedback. If there's things that you're interested in learning about, if you don't like the video, let us know too. But our primary goal here is to help you guys play better golf. What Cool Clubs does better than anybody in the world is they get your club fitting dialed in. Our goal at Premier Fitness Systems is to be the best in the world at helping really everybody do what they want to do. And a lot of our clients happen to be golfers. So our goal is to educate them, to train them to be able to play better golf. So again, Brandon from Premier, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more of these videos.